So we're going to play a blues shuffle in E. Just run through it real quick here. You've heard this on a million songs. We'll run through it, show you the three different chords. This is an E chord. This is a B, to the A, to the E, and then up to the B again. So Chuck, this is, you know, everything from Chuck Berry to Zeppelin to everything does that blues shuffle like that. The reason why you do it in E is because it uses this nice open string here. It uses three chords. Any blues progression will always be three chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5. This uses E, A, and B, which is otherwise known as the 1, 4, and 5 if you get into music theory. So, the first thing you got to learn how to do is just how to palm mute or palm muffle. And what you want to do is use this meaty part of your hand here and lay it lightly across the strings and use downstrokes on your picking, and you should be able to get a sound like that. If you don't palm mute, you'll get this sound, which is not what we want right now. We want it to be very muted. Now you'll notice I'm using all downstrokes. You can also use upstrokes. So practice doing that. And practice playing it, you know, in the beat. You know, maybe put a drum machine on and start. Use all downstrokes, and sometimes use all upstrokes. A little harder to do upstrokes. So that's palm muting. Use the fleshy part of your hand right here to do that, right? And you just lay it lightly on. So an E chord, as you know, or if you can find out, go over to eriff.net and you'll find there's some chord charts there as well. It's usually these three fingers that you can use to play this whole open chord, but you don't need that. If you're playing a blues shuffle, you can just fret this one on the 2nd fret, and that's called a power chord because you're playing the 1st and the 5th of the chord. That's once again more music theory. So then what you want to do is put your 3rd finger. So fingers are 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Your pointer is finger number 1, and your little finger is finger number 4. So you want to take finger number 3. I'll move my fingers so you can see it properly here. And fret it on the 4th fret. So you'll get this. Now without palm muting, it'll sound like this. You can also let it go completely. Watch this. That's called a hammer-on. When you pick a note and then stop the fret suddenly, it's called a hammer-on. I'm going to move my fingers here so you can get a better look at it. Notice I'm using all downstrokes. Second chord for this blues progression is an A. Now you can fret an A this way, get an open A, but since we're playing a power chord, we only need to use 2 of the strings. So you can fret that right there. Now the thing you got to do is only play these 2 strings here. Look at my on the left side of your screen there. When you play an A chord, you just want to use these 2 strings, and when you play an E chord, you want to use just these 2. Now you should be able to practice going from an E, playing these 2 strings. Remember, I'm still palm muting here, keeping the strings muffled with the palm here. And then all you got to do is slide your hand up, your left hand finger here. See that? How that works? Now they're on the A. See how I'm only playing the 2 A strings? It'll take a little bit of time to get used to just playing these 2 strings and then just playing these 2 strings. You'll often see a lot of players reach over and muffle their E string with the thumb here. You see that? So you can take really big strokes and still be on. Okay, so that's how you do your A. So practice going from your A down to your E, up and down strokes, all up strokes. This is just to loosen you up, alright? There's no hard and fast rule for anything. And throwing in that third finger. Up to the A. Back to the E. A. Now I'm palm muting it even harder. Okay, now for the B. Now what we're going to do is slide way up the fretboard to the 7th fret. We're going to put our first finger on the B. The 7th fret, you will always notice, has a dot on it. The first dotted fret is usually the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. And you want to put that next finger, well, right there. What can I tell you? It's easier for you to see than for me to start shouting numbers around. You always want to fret just in back of the frets, okay? Not on top of the fret. These are called frets. You want to do it just behind the fret, and that's how you'll get a nice sound. If you're getting it, if it's rattling stuff, then it just means you're not a little bit behind the fret. So middle to behind the fret is where you want to fret your guitar. And then now it's a bit of a stretch now for this power chord on the B, because you've got to use your little finger and fret it 2 frets up. Move my finger so you can see it even clearer. See that? Now practice you playing your power chord here. This is just, once again, the 1st and the 5th. And practice sliding that around all over the place. You can also play them on the next 2 strings up and even the next 2 strings up. Power chords. All over rock and roll. Very basic, okay? So you add the little finger in there, and then you slide it down to the A. Now remember, there's an A here, but we also learned our open A over here, right? See how it's the same chord? There's an A here, but you use these 2 fingers to fret, 1st and the 5th, and there's also the A over here. See that? Same chord, just a different way to fret it. So we start up at the B. This is the B, 7th fret, 5th fret, A, and then down to our E. And then slide it back up. The V. So E. Now once again, go to eriff.net, and this is all laid out for you in tab with audio files that are pitch stretched, time stretched to slow things down and speed things up, and you can play along with the loop at your speed. All you need is a web browser. There's no software to install. And all you need is the QuickTime player that you can pick up free at Apple or Mac.com, whatever they call it these days. So A and E. Back up to the B. So E. You know, Robert Johnson, Chuck Berry, everything. This is rock and roll, man. It comes right out of this blues shuffle. Originally pioneered by piano players, this sort of thing, and the guitarists started imitating them. That's why all Chuck Berry's tunes are in crazy keys like B flat. So the B to E, to A to E, and then back up to the B. E, hammer on. I'm going to slide up to the A. The 5th fret approach to the A. E. Up to the B. A. To E. So check it out. eriff.net. There's great transcriptions of Stevie Ray Vaughan's Little Wing and You Shook Me All Night Long. All you need is a web browser. They're $4.99 a pop. It's really the best way to learn guitar. Right eriff.net. Later, dudes.